I'm going to talk about both of them together, just because of a bit of the links and narrative between the two of them. And then we'll go over chart stuff, just talking about both, just because they're really, really tightly linked. Mercury Cazimi at 19 degrees of Pisces, and this is at 6:01 a.m. Eastern Time. Mercury is a planet of communication, technology, travel, and when we have a retrograde, and when we don't have a retrograde, a Cazimi marks the midpoint of both periods of time. So in this situation, Mercury has been retrograde since February 26th. It had the pre-shadow, February 11th, stationed retrograde 26th, and then we have on March 7th, the Cazimi. So that's marking the midpoint, because then it's going to station direct, and then we're going to have a post-shadow. So that gives us our little sandwich here with the Cazimi right in the middle. And Cazimi means in the heart of the sun. This is when a planet, any planet, in this case, Mercury, is at the same exact degree point, in other words, conjoining the sun. So it means they are 0 degrees apart. They're in the same spot. They're not on top of each other, but in the sky, they are aligned at that degree. And in this case, it is 19 degrees of Pisces, because the sun will be in Pisces and they'll be in a similar area. Whenever you have a Mercury Cazimi, the energy signature is aha moments. Because think about it, it's like the mind is now lit up by the sun. There's clarity, there's vision, there's ideas coming in, because it's the mind with light, with life force. And these are especially great for retrogrades, and especially great for this particular Mercury retrograde in Pisces, because Mercury is in its detriment and in fallen Pisces. So it's like doubly unhappy and it's retrograde. So with that combination, this is the day that we want to circle on the calendar. This is a huge bright spot and day of relief. Things could finally be clearer for us. Things could click. Tech issues, transportation issues, things of the like could be resolved, or we could figure out, oh, this is a different approach I could take. Great. And then we are going to go back to, it's still retrograding, but at least we have a brief reprieve of those communication channels just syncing back up again. Also on Mercury Cazimi days, it's not uncommon for there to be some sort of breaking news headline, something that's happening in the world. It's a great day to harness for publishing. So if you're working on a project or you have something that you want to release into the world, Cazimi days are great for that. If there's a tough conversation that you want to have, Cazimis are a great day for that, because your words will be clearer. Their mind will be clearer to then hear what it is that you want to say. Other things that we could expect on this particular Mercury Cazimi day in Pisces: inspired daydreaming, because Pisces is very much in the daydreaming realm. So we're thinking of ideas. It's almost like we're brainstorming. We could have intuitive insights dropping in. Pisces is a water sign, intuitive sign. There may be a bit of delusion going on there, so we want to be clear about where it's falling, and hopefully we can be more clear-minded on a day such as this. And also watching out for romanticizing our reality, so thinking that, oh, this is so great, this is awesome. We do want to check ourselves, because while Cazimis by and large are great, because Mercury is very unhappy in the sign, it is a little dysfunctional. So we do want to watch out for what might be coming through and try to take a critical eye to it. The Venus-Neptune conjunction at 1 degree of Aries. This is happening the same day as that Mercury Cazimi day, and it is happening at 6:27 a.m. Eastern Time. So this is 26 minutes apart. And yes, they're happening in different signs, so they are in aversion to each other. They can't see each other. However, Mercury is in Pisces. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. And so through that, we have a connection. There is an intersection between what's going on with Neptune playing a part in what's happening in Pisces. So they are energetically linked to each other. And also, we know that the day before, Venus was just in Pisces because it just entered on the 6th, Aries. So Venus just left a trail of its impression on Pisces. And so we have a tie with both of these planets, either from a recent transit or from rulership, to pay attention to these. Plus, we're having them in a 1-2 punch. It's 26 minutes apart. They are both activating this little corner, if you will, of our chart. So with a conjunction, I just explained Mercury Cazimis, that is when Mercury is conjoining the sun. Now, this type of a conjunction is just a regular conjunction. It's not a Cazimi, so that means there's no sun involved. It means that Venus and Neptune are at 1 degree of Aries. They're both at the same degree point in alignment, 0 degrees apart. And when you have just a regular conjunction like that, you just take a look at each of the planets. What does Venus mean? What does Neptune mean? Now they're blended together. What does that mean? So I'll break that down. Venus, planet of relationships, values, money. Neptune, planet of illusion, perceptions, and dreams. Those get blended together, but they're both in Aries. And Aries is very independent, very passionate, very driven. So when we have any sort of Venus-Neptune conjunction, so just taking out Aries for a moment, but we know that's the backdrop and that's very important. Any sort of Venus-Neptune conjunction is associated with eliciting sentimental feelings. So think about it. It's like the romance, the relationships, the togetherness, and then you have Neptune, which is very dreamy. And what was that like? And so the two of them are coming together. And then it could be that you are especially gullible. You're seeing things with rose-colored glasses. Again, a strong combination of the two of them. And you may also feel a really strong desire for just love and connection. That's not a bad thing. Not all of it is bad. There are some astrologers who view Neptune as actually being a malefic planet, meaning that it can cause a little bit of trouble. And as you can see in some of the description that I gave, you go, well, being gullible doesn't sound great. Being sentimental, if you're overly sentimental, well, that could go wrong. Focusing too much on love and connection could mean that you're missing things. So that's why we want to be vigilant. We want to be thoughtful, intentional, and how great we have a Cazimi happening at the same time. Our mind is going to be a little bit clearer. And it's just about what our emotions are doing, what our draw and our desires are doing. Both of these are happening simultaneously, and we want to harness to the best of our ability that Mercury Cazimi to make sure that we're not getting tipped over the edge with missing something that's important and getting like sucked into something that we shouldn't. When we have this happening in Aries, because of course we have to fold our sign back in, this suggests that there's also a pull to be active, be taking some sort of action, having a focus of our energy. So if as an example, you're saying, I want love, and then you're really feeling like, I'm going to go do that. Like there's like this push of, well, I could make that happen. So you have to layer on what Aries is providing as a backdrop. And you may be a little bit more unfiltered in this because Aries is pretty direct, blunt. And so it's like you have more of a free form illusion of what you think is happening. And you're like, yeah, sure, I can make that happen. And so then that's where we have the Mercury Cazimi, where we want to hopefully harness that as a check so that we don't like go run off doing something that we'll realize later doesn't actually make sense or doesn't serve us. I have Pisces in my 9th house. So then that would mean ideas, revelations coming in through what I'm learning about. through spirituality. It could be something from my spirit guides or about my belief system or something about astrology. Oh my gosh, something is clicking. I'm having an aha moment. I'm being exposed to something. I really want to learn about that. That could be something that comes up. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going on a trip over the weekend, so I already know that the long distance side that doesn't apply, but the other pieces could. And then for that Neptune Venus conjunction in Aries, that's 10th house. So then I would be thinking, all right, well, how am I making sure that I'm not deluding myself in some way about my perspective on my career and what's going on over there? And we can never look at any of this in a vacuum. So we know that Venus is transiting Aries for around a month, and that Neptune entered Aries at the very end of January and is going to be there for another 6 to 7 years. So we have an extended chapter where all of these outer planets that are taking residence in these signs, and also, how could I forget, February 13th, we also had Saturn enter Aries. So we have a lot of planets moving and several of them settling into Aries. So Venus is I'm just there for a few weeks. I'm just checking things out, trying to make things a little bit better. But you have Neptune hunkering down and Saturn hunkering down, and they're both going to be doing stuff to this area of life for many years' time. And so we want to be aware of that as the backdrop too. Like, yes, of course, well, this conjunction is just a one-day activation. Sure, but Neptune is going to be there for years and years. And then Saturn is going to be there for 2 more years. And so that means Venus is going to run into Saturn. And then that's going to have a conjunction too. So we have all these different activation points. And then we know Mercury's in Pisces. Next sign is Aries. So then Mercury's going to hit Neptune. And it's going to hit Saturn. And then Mars is going to come. And it's going to hit Neptune. And it's going to hit Saturn. So we're going to have all of these series of, like, it's almost like the speed bumps when you're driving, that we're going to run into those and go, oh, okay, something's happening here. What am I thinking about? What's going on? But the road in Aries is being repaved because of Saturn. And then with Neptune, it's being reimagined. And those are two different timelines, but they are overlapping because they both started right at the beginning of this year. Lolo, sixth house for both. Okay, so you're someone who has that sixth house is just overlapping, containing 19 and 1. So that's going to be looking at your health, your physical health, not mental. Your work, so what's your current job, or what's your work ethic? What's your work-life balance? How are you creating balance? And so when you have both of these activations in there, you could have new ideas. You're like, oh, I just learned this new thing today, which will help me completely rethink what I'm doing with my work or my health. So it's something that's inspired, or a conversation that you have that you're like, oh my gosh, wait, I didn't know that. Great, that's super helpful. Some sort of a revelation about your health or how you're treating yourself or how you're setting boundaries or not setting boundaries. And then at the same time, you have that ripple going on with the relationships. So what is your relationship with work? What's your relationship with coworkers, if you have any? What is your relationship with pets? You can also include pets in there too, sixth house. And how is that informing and shaping your perceptions of it? So there's a lot of kind of heady intellectual stuff that's going on really with both of these. So we're having, again, this 1-2 punch, but they're overlapping because it's only 26 minutes apart that the peak is happening. So it means both of them have to rise into it and then come out. So you may have some things that get rattled or really brought to your attention about what are some adjustments that maybe you could be making, or how could you be reframing what your relationship is with how you're taking care of yourself, and where you maybe could use some boundaries or things that you could just learn more for your work, or learn more about health. You feel inspired to maybe study something, research something, learn from someone. the insights are coming in for 8th house, that is mental health. That is about money, taxes. Maybe it's a great day to do your taxes if you haven't done them. If you're in the U.S. and you're getting your taxes together. I know I have to do that. That could be a really great day to work on them, to dedicate some time. But it's also about your relationship with change, getting comfortable with change, with being able to let things go, to release. So you could have some ideas, as an example, about, you know what, maybe let's stop that. Let's maybe let that go. Let's be open and lean into transformation, the death and the rebirth, having the connection, the insights, the wisdom drop in about that. And then when you're talking about 9th house, that is learning. So you can use them together. I have this idea come in over here, and then I'm also at the same time, they're not separate. Yes, they're in separate areas of our chart, but we're still one person. So if you learn something in one area, then you can use that to then apply to maybe something that you want to understand a little bit better. But again, knowing that with the Venus-Neptune conjunction, there could be a little bit of skewing going on. The Mercury Cazimi is clear, and the Venus-Neptune conjunction is not. So you could have some things that are dropping in for both, and you want to be able to decipher which is which. And you can know by knowing which house it's in. So if you know it's something that's related to money or your mental health or your relationship with change, you know that's the Cazimi. If you have something that's coming in that you're learning, 9th house, but it relates to travel, going on that trip, spirituality, your belief system, that's going to be 9th house. And that would be the thing that you maybe want to have more of the critical eye towards, of like, well, is this true, or is this because Venus and Neptune are coming together and it's like creating an illusion that sounds nice? So that's what you would want to watch out for. And for anybody, that's how you want to differentiate it. If you know that they're in different houses, it makes it a lot easier. So for Lolo, having them both in the same makes it much trickier to know, well, what's the thing that's true and what's the thing that might not be. But if they are in different houses, then you can kind of box them. So if something comes up for either or both, you go, okay, this is fitting into that one and this is fitting into the other. Let me be mindful of it.